Ahmed run for cover. मैं आपका पर्सनल व्यू जानना चाहता हूं। रेप के चार्ज में एक्यूज अंदर जेल सीबीआई बाबा राम रहीम मनोहर लाल खट्टर का पर्सनल व्यू के क्लैरिटी आनी चाहिए खट्टर साहब।
मैं बिल्कुल क्लियर हूं, जब तक मैं मुख्यमंत्री हूं तब तक मेरा कोई पर्सनल व्यू नहीं है।
करप्शन पे तो आप क्लियर थे।
करप्शन पर भी मुख्यमंत्री का ही जो विचार है वो ये है मेरा। जिस दिन मुझे अगर चेंज करने का कोई अवसर आएगा तो मुख्यमंत्री नहीं होगा तो चेंज करने की बात आएगी, करूंगा नहीं।
Hello and welcome to the weekend debate. The arrest of Delhi Deputy Director and Kejriwal number 2 Manish Sisodia has led to not just a political storm but has also led to an attack on agencies by opposition parties. The CBI and ED that were once upon a time called caged parrots have now gone on an overdrive on cases of alleged corruption not just in Delhi but also in Telangana, Chhattisgarh and West Bengal.
The opposition has called these raids a witch hunt. They accused the central government of weaponizing, quote-unquote, weaponizing the agencies against the opposition. But the corruption crackdown is not just limited to the opposition-ruled states. We have seen section of BJP leaders also face the heat. Today, in fact, over the last few days, there has been action around a BJP MLA and his son in Karnataka for allegedly accepting cash as bribes. So can agencies be called biased? And as we count down to the 2024 elections, the fight against corruption is taking center stage, and that's our debate this evening.
For the last 1 week, former Delhi Deputy Chief Minister Manish Sisodia is in CBI custody in connection with Delhi excise policy corruption case. Aam Aadmi Party has been up in arms, protesting against the arrest, calling it a political witch hunt.
हमारी आवाज सड़क में, संसद में, हर जगह इसी बात के लिए गूंजेगी कि आज जो सरकार चल रही है तानाशाही की, गुंडागर्दी की, सीबीआई का, ईडी का दुरुपयोग किया जा रहा है। दिल्ली के 2 सबसे अच्छे मंत्रियों को, मनीष सिसोदिया जी को, सत्येंद्र जैन जी को जबरन जेल में रखा गया है।
9 opposition leaders, including Mamta, KCR, Kejriwal and Sharad Pawar, have shot off a letter to Prime Minister Modi. In a 3-page letter, they have alleged that centre has misused agencies against opposition leaders. An investigation has slowed down when they joined BJP.
क्या ये स्वाभाविक लगता है कि आपका पटका जिसने पहन लिया वो धुल गया? कोई आरोप नहीं। जिसने आपका पटका नहीं पहना उसको आप पटक रहे हो। ये तरीका ये उचित नहीं है। कल को आप भी इसकी जद में आ सकते हैं।
But can allegations of corruption be limited to just opposition leaders? The recovery of 8 crore rupee cash from BJP MLA's son by Lokayukta in poll-bound Karnataka has put the Saffron party in the dock.
उनकी पार्टी के नेता का एक बेटा 6 करोड़ रुपए के साथ पकड़ा गया। रेड में 8 करोड़ रुपए या 6 करोड़ रुपए जो भी मिला पकड़ा गया, वो गिरफ्तार किया मनीष सिसोदिया को। उसकी पूरी रेड में 10,000 रुपए मिले। मनीष सिसोदिया के बैंक लॉकर देखे, उसमें कुछ नहीं मिला।
But has also silenced the opposition who questioned the independence of agencies.
ನಾವು ನಿಷ್ಪಕ್ಷಪಾತವಾಗಿ ತನಿಖೆ ಮಾಡ್ತೇನೆ ನಾನು ಪದೇ ಪದೇ ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀನಿ. ಈ ವಿಚಾರದಲ್ಲೂ ಕೂಡ ಲೋಕಾಯುಕ್ತ ಸರ್ವಸ್ವತಂತ್ರವಾಗಿರುವಂಥ ಒಂದು ಸಂಸ್ಥೆ, ನಿಷ್ಪಕ್ಷಪಾತವಾದಂಥ ತನಿಖೆ ಆಗಲಿ, ಯಾರು ತಪ್ಪು ಮಾಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಅವರಿಗೆ ಶಿಕ್ಷೆ ಆಗಲಿ ಅನ್ನುವಂಥದ್ದು ನಮ್ಮ ನಿಲುವು. ಹೀಗಾಗಿ ನಾವು ನಮ್ಮ ನಿಲುವೇನಿದೆ ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ ಬದಲಾವಣೆ ಇಲ್ಲ. ಅದರ ಏನೇನು ಮಾಹಿತಿ ಸಿಕ್ಕಿದೆ, ಹಣ ಸಿಕ್ಕಿದೆ.
So can any side claim moral high ground in matter of corruption? And with the narrative centered around corruption crackdown and agencies, will it be one of the decisive factors for 2024? Let's debate.
Joining us on the Sunday weekend debate, Shehzad Poonawalla, national spokesperson of the BJP, Kubai Satyan, spokesperson of the AIADMK, PKD Nambiar will be joining us in a short while from now. Swapnil Kothari is a senior lawyer joining us live from Mumbai. Mr. Mohammad Amin is the former joint director EC, joins us from Delhi this evening. Hardeep Singh Kingra is a spokesperson of the Punjab Congress. Joining us on the weekend debate, Professor Manojit Mandal is a spokesperson of the Trinamool Congress. Mrunalini Deshmukh is a lawyer based in Mumbai. And Manaswi Thapar, lawyer, political analyst, live from Ahmedabad, will be completing the panel. Let me start with Shehzad Poonawalla. Shehzad, in fact, before I start with Shehzad, let me give the floor to Manojit Mandal. Manojit Mandal, your party has been calling the agencies as, short of calling them raging bulls from caged parrots, you've called them all kinds of names. But given the action in the last few days where even, BJP leaders are not being spared, with the example of Karnataka, where we hear that at last count, about 6 to 8 crore in cash was recovered. Can you still call agencies biased? Manojit, and Shehzad will respond. We have all the time. We can take it slow. Yes.
300 opposition leaders versus now you have picked up one ruling MLA. That's the ratio. 300 opposition leaders in the last few years have been either raided, arrested, or maligned by the agencies, and without seeing any logical conclusion of those alleged corruption cases. That is very, very important, I tell you. Starting from Narda Sharda that you picked up since 2014 till date, 9 years have passed, not a single conviction in any of those cases, meaning those are political stances, those are gimmicks by the central government, only to score brownie points. Nothing substantial happened. And on top of this, evidently corrupt people who switch sides to BJP from Trinamool Congress or from Congress. And I take example of two very prominent BJP leaders. One is from Assam, Hemanta Biswa Sharma, and the other is from Bengal, the leader of the opposition, Shubhendu Adhikari. Till 2014, till 2015, when Mr. Biswa Sharma was in Congress, he was also accused of the same case, that is Sharda. Shubhendu Adhikari is again a very classic case. 2016 March, exactly 7 years ago, BJP from their Bengal headquarters, they had this televised show showing Shubhendu Adhikari is taking money. 2020, the moment he switched sides to BJP, nothing happens to him. What does he say? There are plenty of other examples. I will not take the example that they need to take. The facts remain that when a particular agency or many agencies under the supervision of the government of India like ED, CBI and IT, when they become evidently biased to the political dispensation, we have to call them raised bulls or Rottweilers, whatever, because singularly you are targeting the opposition, especially Trinamool Congress. And another example, my National Secretary, Mr. Abhishek Banerjee, you will target him because of his popularity, because of his political rise, because of his articulation, fine. But you have targeted his family members as well. His wife was not spared. His sister-in-law was not spared. Even his son, 3 years old son, was not spared by Shubhendu Adhikari. Called out him regarding a birthday celebration, which was not the case at all. This is the kind of morality that the political dispensation that is ruling the Sindar has now come down to. No courtesy, no political morality. On the other hand, they wish to win election by using these, agencies. Immediately after 2021, you could see that 3 of our ministers, including one who, passed away very unfortunately after his, jail term, within 6 months of his jail term, Mr. Subrata Mukherjee. He was a 78 years old man. He was arrested on the day of filing of the charge sheet in Narda case. I repeat, on the day of filing of the charge sheet, after the completion of investigation, Mr. Subrata Mukherjee, Bobby Hakim, the present mayor of Kolkata and minister, they were arrested on the day of filing charge sheet. And whenever that has happened in this country, the 2 responsible ministers are being arrested on the day of filing charge sheet, immediately after the end of the election, and that too during the COVID pandemic 2021, middle of May. You remember those arrests, Niranjan?
Yes.
And I mean, these are facts. These are realities. These are histories.
On that point, you want to get a response? We'll get the debate started.
Explain those histories.
Okay. On that first point, I'm going to get the BJP's response. Now, we were showing those pictures in the middle. Let's show those pictures of the cash once again, because I saw Shehzad was looking at that cash. Now, this cash, very similar to the scenes of the cash we saw this morning. Let me also show you the cash stash from Karnataka today. Let me show you the cash stash from Karnataka on the screens. Cash placed on tables, and they were struggling to count that cash as well. But you know what's happening is
stuffed in 6 huge bags.
6 bags,
being
6
taken
bags
away by
carried
the
out by the
Lokayukta,
Lokayukta today. Yeah, these are bags from today. Now, the point is, Manojit Mandal says you can call them Rottweilers, you can call them names, but the fact is they are being selective. But Shehzad or Manojit, the BJP, when asked the question this morning, said that we don't mind if our leaders are corrupt and are raided and are caught and punished. This was Basavaraj Bommai saying it. So the BJP, it appears today, is not complaining about this raid. Shehzad, your response to the Trinamool Congress?
Look, first of all, I'm glad that you started this debate with TMC, the mountain of corruption or too much corruption. And you know what their slogan has become over the last 8 years? हम करेंगे भ्रष्टाचार अपरंपार, पकड़े गए तो चिल्लाएंगे अत्याचार अत्याचार, फिर करेंगे सड़कों पर दुराचार, और यही बन गया हमारा शिष्टाचार. It has become the discipline of these parties. TMC, too much corruption, INC, I need corruption, AAP, और अधिक पाप, and NCP, nationally corrupt party, to cry vendetta politics whenever they are caught with their hand in the cookie jar. I want to ask a few questions now. Let's forget what we say in political domain, Niranjan. Today, let's just go by what the court says. Is it not true that the SSC scam was unearthed by the Calcutta High Court? The Kolkata High Court time and again made observations and recommendations of action of CBI probe, and it was on the back of that Partha and Arpita were caught. And today is Mr. Manojit Mandal defending Partha. All the cash that was found, all the links to the West Bengal Education Department was found. Secondly, I want to ask that who ordered the case against Sonia Gandhi, Rahul Gandhi? It was a lower court in 2012 who denied relief to Sonia Gandhi, Rahul Gandhi. It was the higher court who denied relief to Manish Sisodia, who's been caught recently. The Supreme Court who denied relief to Satyendra Jain for the last 9 months. It is the lower court and the high court. In fact, the high court made 3 observations against Satyendra Jain, that he's criminal, he's corrupt, that he's indulging hawalabazi. So is the court of this country also indulging in vendetta politics or selectiveness? For the last 8.5-9 years, Niranjan, it has become a boring and repetitive broken record that they come and say vendetta ho gaya, selective, bias, but not once did their worthies go in court and prove one single case of bias or caged parrot that these agencies were operating as. And if they were a caged parrot, now I did not interrupt anybody, I heard them for 5-7 minutes. Last 30 seconds I'll take, Niranjan. Today you are seeing that action is being taken without any discrimination, whoever you may be. There are tons of examples of leaders belonging to the BJP who've been raided by the IT, raided by the ED, raided by the Lokayukta. Wherever there is corruption, there will be action. But Mr. Manojit Mandal said, why did the action take place in the ratio of 300-1? Manojit, I will just point your attention to 2014 and prior to 2014. Who were the people caught when 2014 the government was of UPA? It was SP, BSP, NCP, Congress, and today also it is SP, BSP, TMC, Congress. That means whether in power or out of power, your DNA is to do corruption, and therefore you are getting caught for corruption. Now, why are you crying horse when you've been caught for corruption? You should be taking action on corruption. Instead, Manish Sisodia, when he was caught, there was celebration of corruption. Mr. Manojit Mandal is doing justification of corruption.
And while you're talking about Shehzad, as you talk about Manish Sisodia and the crackdown on it, I would like to get in Hardeep Singh Kingra into the debate. Mr. Kingra, when Manish Sisodia was arrested last week, most of the senior Congress leaders were silent because probably it was a catch-22 situation for the Congress.
Actually.
Yes. It was a very confusing stand, but we had some leaders of the Congress coming out, like Ajay Makan, coming out in support of the CBI. Now, for the first time under the Modi government, the Congress had come out in support of the CBI. But when similar crackdown, when similar raids or similar crackdown on corruption takes place in other states, say in Chhattisgarh, why does the Congress have to attack the CBI or the ED then? Why is this selective approach on corruption, 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 corruption
No, let me say that the corruption in high offices is prevalent in the nation, and many people from the high offices, they have been convicted. Say Sukhram ji from Congress, Lalu Prasad Yadav ji from Rashtriya Janata Dal, Chautala's son and father from Haryana, and many others. So the corruption in high offices is there. Now the question is, who are the agencies? If you look at the watchdogs, there are two kinds of watchdog: the watchdog of the central government and the watchdog of the state government. Today what happened in Karnataka is not the watchdog of the central government, it is the watchdog Lokayukta of the state government, which is a state subject, and they caught one of the MLA and his son, who is a bureaucrat, taking so much money, 6 crore in the house and 40 lakh in the office. Similarly, Aam Aadmi Party is making a lot of noise when Manish Sisodia is arrested. But same Aam Aadmi Party is rejoicing the arrest of some of the Congress leaders in Punjab. Say Sadhu Singh Dharamsot, say Sundar Arora ji, say Ashutosh ji, Ashu ji, Bharat Bhushan Ashu ji, and their own people. One of their minister, Mr. Singla, was arrested. One of their Mr. Sarari was removed from the cabinet. One of their MLA was caught taking 3 lakh bribe. And it is the state government watchdogs, the vigilance, which is taking action. I agree to this some extent that there may be some political vendetta, or it appears. But the question is that why the CBI should be politically aligned. Now, if you see the yesterday's judgment of the Supreme Court regarding the appointment of the election commissioners and the election commission, chief election commissioner, they said that there should be a committee of the Prime Minister, the leader of opposition, and the Supreme Court Chief Justice to recommend the appointment of the election commissioners and the chief election commissioner.
Yeah.
Such a provision already exists for the appointment of the director of CBI. Now, how far the CBI director is non-aligned politically? It's a question mark, because there is a dangling carrot in front of such officers or such institutions that you will be appointed as governor after your retirement. Suppose somebody is selected today, his integrity is impeccable, he is a very honest guy who had these institutions, selected by a committee or recommended by a committee of the Prime Minister, LOP and the Chief Justice of India, but later on somebody want to align him, get him aligned politically by saying that, okay, after your term is over, we will appoint you into Rajya Sabha. Okay, after your term, we will appoint you as governor. CBI directors, they have been appointed as governors, and the Chief Election Commissioner, they have been nominated to Rajya Sabha. So how this can be stopped?
Yes.
These things can be stopped only if...
So I'd like to just...
if these things can be stopped only if you increase the retirement age.
I wanted to come to...
And there should be a bar.
Yeah.
After retirement from these constitutional offices, people will not be posted in any office of profit.
Yeah. Sir, you're an officer yourself. You've been an officer before you became a politician. I'm assuming you are a full-time politician now. But I'd like to, because you made a very interesting mention, and from your response, I'd like to phrase your response as one that tries to categorize between a good raid and a bad raid. Good corruption, bad corruption. Good CBI chief, bad CBI chief. Sir, do you know a certain CBI chief called Ranjit Sinha? And do you know this CBI chief called Ranjit Sinha and the controversy around Ranjit Sinha and the different visitors at a certain Ranjit Sinha's residence? Was he a good CBI chief, bad CBI chief, or a politically aligned CBI chief? I want to bring in, Swapnil is smiling. Okay, Swapnil, you want to respond to him? You respond to Mr. Kingra there.
Yes. Well, all I can say is in this is that there is no good corruption or bad corruption. Corruption is corruption. And if you are saying that you are dangling a carrot before some high-ranked CBI officer who is known for his impeccable integrity, and you are saying that you're going to be made a governor tomorrow once you retire, so you're politically aligned with the BJP or politically aligned with the Congress or whatever the party is, then basically that man was never of any integrity whatsoever in the first place to begin with. So to categorize such people into carrots and people who fall for carrots and who don't fall for carrots would be a little bit childish and sheepish in my opinion. I think what is the moot issue at hand is that you need to ensure that the agencies do their job without fear and favor. That is the job of the government. Now, if the BJP since the past 9 years has been able to successfully manage that, that you can do it without fear or favor. And then I would also like to see, I'm sure I'll see some more BJP people also who are involved in corruption being, taken to task or facing the wrath of the law. Now, one of the points which merits consideration, Niranjan and Sanika, in my opinion, is that one of the points which was raised by one of the earlier panelists was that there is no conviction ratio, in the sense that the conviction rate is not there enough to warrant these kind of rates. Now, this is exactly where I have a suggestion to the agencies, that when you do the raids, when you call up people, when you bring in people, I understand that in this country, legal cases take quite a bit of time, maybe 5 years, 8 years minimum, and then thereafter. But I think you need to expedite certain things and at least show some conviction rate so as to shut the people who are in the opposition, to shut their point as far as this point is concerned, shut their mouth as far as this point is concerned. Because what happens is that when you don't have convictions, when you have cases pending before the people, people use that and say that, by the way, the Representation of People Act only talks about if convicted, then you're out of office. If you're not convicted, that means this is still pending, you're still eligible to vote, you're still eligible to do many things. So this is where my basic suggestion to the agencies, look, I don't want to point out several cases where, Niranjan, things have not gone forward the way you and I would have wanted it. Let's take Sushant's case, for example. What has happened to that? It's frozen with the Central Bureau of Investigation since 2.5 years. Third year is almost about to get over in the next 3 months or 4 months. Let's take another case where, some very high-ranked politician was also taken to task. I don't remember the name right now. There have been several cases like that where people are hauled up eventually, but they do not face the conviction rate. So this is my suggestion to the people, or rather to the agencies, that if you're doing a job, do not stop halfway. And if you're having some sort of a pressure or emolument from somewhere, I think it's more to do with pressure rather than emoluments, then you need to come out and say that, yes, this is the pressure that we are facing. And then that will be the touchstone for the BJP to say that, sorry, let us look at what kind of pressure you are having. Because that will be the final test. As far as the 2024 elections is concerned, as you began the debate saying that, this is going to matter quite a bit. I believe it would matter. But to me, that still seems to be a cakewalk for the BJP, simply because there is no collective opposition or no sound opposition without any credible face. So when you don't have a credible face, all of these things that, this is vendetta politics, Bollywood bashing, star child being taken to task, all of these cliches come out into the open, which no defense lawyer ever argues in a court of law. Because he knows, he and I both know that this is not going to be able to prove. You cannot prove that. Bottom line, does the ECIR point out relevant charges? Do the FIRs point out relevant charges? If they don't, then attack them. If they do, then give some plausible defense. If you can't, face the wrath of the law. As simple as that.
Yes, and Manasvi, as we're talking about, and even like Swapnil said, there is no good corruption, bad corruption. Now, Aam Aadmi Party is a party that has been fighting against, they claim to be fighting against corruption. The entire poll pitch, the entire plank rising to power was about this fight against corruption, coming from India against corruption. But when you see the leaders of Aam Aadmi Party who once shared stage with Anna Hazare, themselves being accused of corruption, being put into jail for corruption, and getting no support from other political parties, when such a situation arises, what is, how is AAP taking to it?
See, Aam Aadmi Party and corruption, we know it is formed through the corruption movement. But the reality is all the political parties, when in opposition, talk about corruption, that how we should evade corruption from this country. Going back to the Prime Minister's tweet in 2013, he said CBI has become Congress Bureau of Investigation. Nation has no faith in it. I tell the centre, do not show us fear of CBI. This was 24 June 2013. In 2014, be it CBI, various commissions, IT department, the misuse of every institution has become hallmark of UPA. And when we go to the data, the number of CBI cases were filed against the opposition from 2004 to 2014 were 43, and right now till from 2014 till today, it's more than 115 cases have been filed. Now go back to the ED. the number of cases against the opposition have risen 27 times. It is 3,000 cases have been filed by the ED till date, and it was mere 100. It was mere 112 in 2014. And look at the conviction rate. It boils down to conviction rate, and we know. Let's go back to West Bengal's Mamata Banerjee's case in 2018. The ED CBI raided her, and in 2014 the CBI said there was no evidence found. You raid leaders, you raid opposition leaders, and then you find no evidences. So what kind of investigation is actually going on? Is it just a witch hunt? Is it just a toothless investigation authority? What is happening? This needs to be cleared out. When you are in power, while you were in opposition, you were the first people to criticize Congress, and the country stood by you, because we thought that ED and CBI were misused, they were caged parrots. But now when we see this, the times in which the opposition have been on the forefront fighting against the ED and CBI have increased more than 20 times in each CBI and ED, and this is questionable. While your conviction rate is so low, it's less than 5%, and the reality is everyone is corrupt except BJP. Now when we come to reforming institution, there is no reforms happening. Why we need a clear answer. Why don't we have a speedy trial? Why don't we have the increased in conviction rate? If these people, if Mamata Banerjee was a corrupt politician in 2018 as per the CBI, why was there no evidences, and why was she raided if there were no evidences? These are genuine questions. It's not about opposition leaders or people from Congress, Aam Aadmi Party or DMK or TMC. It's about the entire country. A democracy functions with opposition and people in power, and we have to create laws and functionality and responsibilities for those people who are in power. When it comes to asking questions in power, they'll say you play victim card, atyachar ke drama bazi. This all will start, but the reality is, in terms of reforms, there is no real action. It is just what was happening from 2004 to 14. What the Congress did, BJP is doing 27, increasing it to 27 times more. Only thing what is in favor in the front of BJP is there is lack of opposition, which could counter the nuisance created by BJP in terms of misusing CBI and ED. Just because the opposition is not united, just because the opposition cannot take up the issues, the kind of issues BJP took in 2014, the kind of issues BJP took in 2014 while they were in opposition.
Okay, also what hasn't changed, Manasvi?
But the misuse is still there, the misuse is very much there, and that needs to be protected.
We have pictures of leaders from the opposition sitting in the audience and while they were talking about how EVMs can be manipulated.
That's right.
You are an insider of the Election Commission. You've worked with the Election Commission. Yes, please go ahead.
Yeah, madam, for the EVM, Mr. Advani, I can mention that Mr. Advani was the president in the BJP. He has also pointed out about the EVM. So this is the nature of the politicians. They can, but again you can say they have accepted all over India. All courts have accepted our proceeding and function of the EVMs. And after that,
they will only accept.
We have the VVPAT.
So they'll only accept if they win elections.
Putting the finger where the
Mr. Amin, they'll only accept you if they win elections.
Yeah.
Yes, and if Himachal didn't go the Congress way, if Himachal didn't go the Congress way, I'm sure it would have.
And from yesterday.
Yes. Complete your point. Complete your point, and we'll take it forward.
It has come. We are very happy. Why? Why we are happy? There is they have given the system means and after choosing of the officers as the commissioners and the chief election commissioners, the 3-member committee will be there. The Prime Minister of India, Honorable Prime Minister of India, Honorable Chief Justice of India, and one LOP. Leader opposition.
Yes.
They cannot finger or point out anything against the.
So, Mr. Amin, Supreme Court has put some safeguards. Supreme Court has sort of brought in has batted for transparency in the entire appointment process, and I would like to take this point to Mrinalini. Mrinalini, now that we've seen the Supreme Court decision on the appointment of chief election commissioners, probably going forward there would be less attacks on institutions is what we are hoping.
Yes.
How do you see this now when we take this, the ECI as well as the agencies, we've seen it becoming subject of attacks by the opposition day in and day out. So now when we have some safeguards like this, do you think the attacks will be lesser?
Yes, to a large extent, I think there would be There's sort of the attacks because the process would be, I mean, it would be in a proper manner that the election commissioner would be appointed. Now, as all of us know, what is the committee that is going to appoint the election commissioner? That is only to bring about transparency, that is to bring about equality and fairness, where there is a leader of the opposition and the leader of the current political party which would be there, and the Chief Justice of India. Now, what the election commission needs to do is, as a layperson or for the citizen who goes to vote, is to lay down an infrastructure where there is free and fair elections. Now, if that is guaranteed to a citizen, whether he belongs to a ruling party or the opposition party, or he does not want to vote for either of them, that is what the cleansing of the system is, what the Supreme Court's judgment has sort of, indicated at. This is only to strengthen the democracy. By doing this, we are not attacking the democracy, we are strengthening the democracy. Point number one. Justice Joseph, in his judgment, in the order that he has given, the judgment that he has given, has said that there is a surge and rise of money in politics. There is a rise about, even he said about the media, where there is a partisan media that he's talking about, and also he talks about the criminality in certain cases in politics. So when these are the three factors which probably were not present in the earlier days, say 2 decades, 3 decades back, I don't know, I'm not very sure on that, then this kind of a mechanism has to be put in place, where we need to find a solution. We need to cleanse the system. Once the election process is held in a free and fair manner, who wins, who loses, again it depends on how many votes each party or each candidate gets. That's not what we are concerned with. We are concerned with the entire process. Now, when we are talking about the appointment of an election commission in this manner, and I think I just want to deviate a little bit to Swapnil's point, that why there are no convictions in the CBI. Now, the very fact, as a lawyer, I'm sure Swapnil knows, there are no convictions because there are no evidences. Now, a conviction can only happen when there is a proper trial, there is proper evidence which is led, and witnesses,
Niranjan, I've been
documents,
wanting to
etc.
speak on this for some time now.
Yes, coming to you after this. Kawai also hasn't spoken. Yes, Nali, complete your point.
May I? Yeah.
Quickly, yeah.
I will just take 30 seconds
yes,
more.
Please, complete your
point.
point.
When we are talking about this, there should not be any agency, whether it is the ED, of course they should do their job to the best of their ability, but there should not be any agencies which should be browbeating, which should be creating terror in the minds of the people. Arrest them and then we'll see what is to be done. And you say, what do? The courts have not found them guilty. But even if you feel prima facie there is something, there needs to be some substance before you arrest. You can't go on
that
just
point.
Sort of, tarnishing the reputation.
I got your larger point, Nalini. I got your larger point. To that, quickly, Kawai, with your permission, Kawai hasn't spoken. Shehzad, exactly 30 seconds to you, 30 seconds to Swapnil, because on this point, and then I'll go across to Kawai. 30 seconds to both. Karan, I'm coming to you. Sorry, I'm coming to you. Just hold on. Yeah, Shehzad. 30 seconds.
Niranjan, because multiple speakers have spoken of the conviction rate, let me tell you, prior to 2014, the CBI's conviction rate was 67%. Today in 2020, 21, 22, it's 69%. And the ED's conviction rate, it was 0 in 2014. Before 2014, 0 convictions. Today there are 23 convictions by the ED. So some people should also get their facts. And forget the conviction. Niranjan, when Lalu Prasad Yadav got convicted 5 times, this entire brigade said that the courts are biased. When Lalu Prasad was convicted by a court of law, after 34 years, he was finally convicted. The same people said this is unfair, this is biased, this is being done because he's targeted.
Okay, Swapnil.
Now, can I complete without you speaking?
Okay, complete. Okay, Shehzad, complete your point. Shehzad, complete your point.
You cannot malign the courts.
Now, may I not?
You cannot malign the courts. There is a process.
People who are defending corruption.
Okay, Shehzad, quickly, complete your point.
May I not have a... thank you. Now,
nobody. I think we object to it. Nobody is defending corruption. Niranjan, 1 minute. Niranjan,
safeguarded from the defenders of corruption now.
No, I don't think he attacked the courts. Did he attack the courts? I don't think he did.
No.
I don't. Did you say? Okay, one second.
He said that the opposition attacked the courts.
You are the most corrupt political party Along with that, you
I think we're deviating. Hold on.
When I wait my turn and these all these uncouth people on a Sunday, I don't know how to even conduct them.
Okay, one
If we
second,
speak
Manoj,
over
hold
each
on,
other,
hold on.
nobody's going to
I heard
understand
them.
anything.
I
Yes.
tried.
It is also-
Now I'm trying to make my point and you have all these people trying to
It is
cause some
also
pranks by
unfair
making all
to
these
say-
points and speaking over me.
Manojit, 1 minute. Manojit, you'll get your turn. Manojit, I'll give you a turn. I promise you I'll give you a turn. 1 minute. Manojit, I'll give you a turn because the two of them haven't spoken yet. Two speakers haven't yet even opened their tally. Okay.
Mr. Poonawala is getting very personal.
Personal
Can I
with?
speak? Niranjan, I don't want to be lectured. Niranjan, I am not here to be lectured by anybody. Can I make my point?
Personal with
without
whom?
being
No,
interrupted?
sorry, I may have missed something. 1 minute. I'm sorry, 1 minute. Just.
You know, some people
I may have missed
have a
something in the din.
attention
So,
and
Shehzad, 1 minute, Shehzad.
He's saying
Shehzad, I may have missed something in the din.
there are
Whatever was
5
personal
people
about, I'm saying
who are
that.
here who are protecting the corruption. We are not protecting
who has
any
told you,
corruption.
Baba?
No, Mrinalini, I don't think the reference was to you.
Talking about it.
Mrinalini, I don't think the reference was to
Talking
you.
about me.
No, it's not about you.
About you.
I understand, Khamaka, what is this waste of time on a Sunday?
Okay, Manojit, please, it's getting a little chaotic. 1 minute. I think there's a lot of confusion. This confusion is mainly because everyone is speaking over each other. It's mainly over. Sir, 1 second. Manojit, 1 second. No, I think he was trying to make a political. Okay, Manojit, I'm coming to you. Manojit, I just want to set the record straight here. 1 second.
I'm naming you, meaning the BJP is defending corruption.
Yeah, okay, that's fine. You have every right to say that. But I'm saying that. 1 minute, Shehzad, I'll let you complete your point because we've deviated quite a bit. Mrinalini, he was trying to make a political point. I don't think he was trying to get personal with you.
Somebody thinks I've been speaking about
1 minute, Shehzad, I'm coming to you, yaar. I'm just trying to set the record straight before somebody gets it wrong again.
Yes.
Mrinalini, he was making a political point. I don't think he said anything personal against you. He was making a political point to the political party. Shehzad, 10 seconds, I want to get Swapnil as well.
Yeah.
10 seconds, please.
My larger point is that
I accept that.
Can I please now, Mrinalini ji,
Shehzad, come on.
Mrinalini ji, can you
Shehzad,
please
complete
let
your
me
point,
complete?
Shehzad. Come on.
Thank you. Now the point
you
I was
have to
trying to
give
make
us
is that
time to
even when
remark.
people.
Manojit, please, 10 seconds. I'm coming to you.
The point I was trying to make is that even when there is conviction 5 times of a political personality, people from the political spectrum, no reference to any lawyer, has come out and said that these convictions are wrong, the courts are biased because he belongs to a particular caste, he's been convicted. And thirdly, those talking about election commission.
Okay.
Sir, do you remember Naveen Chawla? The unprecedented action of a chief election commissioner writing a letter, and I remember Arnab doing a debate on that letter of Gopalaswamy.
Okay, concede now. Shehzad, concede now. Come on. Shehzad, concede now. I'll give you a turn once again in the end. 1 second. Swapnil want to come in. Swapnil, quickly, I want to bring in Kowai. Poor Kowai and Karan haven't even opened the tally. Yes.
Right. Well, Niranjan, the point I would like to make is by saying that there are not enough convictions. I did not mean that there are acquittals. As far as leading of evidence is concerned, obviously evidence has to be led. The fact that they are not led does not mean that there is no evidence. It's more so the case where they have not been allowed to lead evidence. That's the reason why I've used the word fear or favor. They have been pressurized at times because there are some very high political personalities involved. Now, other points which I would like to make to Mr. Poonawala is that I never said that he's absolutely right as far as his figures are concerned. My only short point was that compared to the amount of raids that have taken place. When you take a certain number of people, say, that have been raided, and I'm not going to whether they're opposition, BJP, it's not my concern of that. I'm talking about pure corruption on the basis of it. Raids have been conducted, say if there are 400. Contrast that, when you compare to that, when you say 400 raids, Niranjan, how many people have been convicted? That is the point that I was trying to make.
Got your point.
So that is the very short point. I'm just trying to say increase the conviction rate or increase the decision rate, if that's what I'm trying to say.
Yes.
More so, whether it results in conviction or acquittal is a separate issue. That's for the courts to decide. You've done your job. You've led your evidence.
Yeah.
According to you, this is the best evidence that I can lead to, say, nail a person or whoever.
Sadika's question of Kowai now.
It's for the courts to decide.
Yes, and we would like to bring in Kovai Satyan of the AIDMK now because, when we're talking about agencies and the election commission, there has been a certain amount of attack that the opposition parties...
Yes, I'm coming to you, Mr. King. I'm coming to you.
Yeah.
Two speakers haven't spoken, sir. Sir, two speakers. Please be kind to them. Please be kind to them.
Let Kovai make a point.
Let's bring
Yes,
Kovai, please.
Kovai, we've seen the opposition fear-mongering.
We'll come back. I promise you, we'll have a final face-off with the BJP. Final face-off with the BJP, but let's go to AIDMK now.
Look at how the opposition houses are being banned.
We'll
Yes, we will talk about that, Monojit.
I'm coming to that. I promise you, you'll get your face-off. Yeah. Go to Kawai.
So, Kawai, is there a certain amount of fear-mongering that is taking place by the opposition parties when it comes to agencies, ECs, Supreme Courts, like institutions in general? Is there an attempt to create a sort of mistrust against the agencies here?
Especially in the run-up to 2024.
Yes.
Thanks for my time. Under UPA, Congress rule, if there are only fewer cases by the agencies, and under NDA BJP rule, it has quadrupled or many number of cases, it's an indication that when you give the empowerment and let those agencies do their job, and definitely they will deliver what is expected out of them. That's their role. And yes, it's quite evident and natural that the opposition has to cry foul. They have to paint a narrative of vendetta politics, and that's a way they can escape. And when they paint a picture of why there is less amount of conviction, then they will not talk about judicial reforms. It are those same corrupt people who are facing charges and cases will not appear in courts and they will take excuses. Let me give you an example. The present in Tamil Nadu, the DMK government, out of 36 ministers, 13 ministers have cases pending against them for more than a decade. None of them have come forward asking for a closure of their cases. If they are immaculate, if their hands are clean, any honest person or a person with integrity will come forward and say that I am being framed, let me openly face it, and they will try to expedite and complete the cases. They will not take excuses. So none of them will talk about judicial reforms. Having said about reforms, now coming to the point of having LOP, CJI and the PM to appoint the Chief Election Commissioner is the much needed reform. It is not the economic reform that alone is required to make the country propel towards growth. Every agency, every government institution has to be reformed. For 70 years, this one election commission and electoral reforms have not been spoken in this country. If you are talking about one nation, one election, if we have larger ambitions for the welfare and development for the nation, then you should definitely talk about reforms. And yes, this electoral reforms is much needed. Judicial reform should follow. And electoral reforms has to bring in much more transparency, and it should bring out accountability. Let me give you one example and wind up. 30 seconds, not more than that. Arey bhai, I waited 45 minutes patiently. Can't you wait 30 seconds? Why are you?
Oh my God!
Why are you?
Going under
No, why are you?
Please
Why are you
stop
jumping the gun?
corruption. At least you are your.
Why are you jumping the gun? Why are you jumping the gun? Why can't you be patient? I waited for 45 minutes. Can you please shut up, my dear friend?
I'm sorry, she's not.
I gave you respect.
No, I'll tell you.
I gave you due respect on your time.
Okay, 1 minute. Manoj, he's completing his point. 10 seconds. Let him complete his point. 10 seconds. Yes, Satya.
Why is he lecturing on corruption?
Let me give you an example.
Jail after conviction.
He hasn't spoken. Let him make his opening statement. You can counter him after that, Manojit.
How come you are in public life and you don't have the patience to listen to others? Shame on you, my dear friend.
Why should I?
See, recently concluded by-election. The results were
let's
out
calmly
yesterday.
debate. We have another 10 minutes. Let's calmly debate.
There was a by-election in Tamil Nadu, Erode constituency. We have filed 42 cases with evidences of voters being bribed with cash and kind. And the State Election Commission has given excuses on excuses. They were not able to act. 40,000 names which are there in electoral rolls, they were not present in their addresses. When we took this up with the State Election Commission, they pointed the finger towards the Central Election Commission, saying that we cannot do anything at this time. 8,000 people who passed away, who died, their names were there in the electoral list. When we pointed this out, they say they can't conduct this exercise at this point of time, citing their empowerment, citing their limitation. So, coming to that, electoral reform should take care of all the parameters, bringing in transparency, responsibility, and accountability.
Got it. Okay. Now, 1 minute. Now, in my question is, Manojit has a point. I'll tell you. Okay, he has a point, Karan, and I'll tell you why. For example, okay, this is, you heard of a leader called Pratap Sarnaik? I'll tell you about Pratap Sarnaik. Pratap Sarnaik was from erstwhile Uddhav Shiv Sena. Okay? He was raided. And those raids continued. His son was arrested. That was the bad Pratap Sarnaik. Now I'll tell you the good Pratap Sarnaik. The good Pratap Sarnaik is today with the Eknath Shinde Shiv Sena. Okay? And his son, wait. No. Sir, one minute. Manojit, let me ask the question. Manojit, let me ask the question. Let me ask the question. Hold on, na.
Pick up Amit Shah's favorite child.
Let me ask the question, Manojit, please. With your permission, 1 minute. Now, he got the point. You got the point, right, Karan? You got the point, right? Obviously, they will raise questions when some of these cases, you raided them. Nobody remembers these cases anymore. His son was even arrested.
Washing machine is what they call it.
Yeah, they called it a washing machine. But Karan Verma to that, yeah.
No, I agree. I agree on that point that it should be equal for everyone, bipartisan. Our institutions have to be absolutely impartial in discharging their duties. Having said that, Niranjan, I want to make a larger point. There have been a lot of aspersions cast on many of the institutions who are doing a terrific job. Let's take the example of the Election Commission. Please fix the echo. The Election Commission has been doing a phenomenal job conducting elections at such a large scale. Compare that to so many Western democracies where the US struggled to count its votes days after the midterm elections. So the truth is there was no need of a judicial overreach in an institution which was doing pretty well. Today, the Supreme Court becoming a participant in the appointment of the CEC, it's pretty much similar to choosing the CBI director. And in the words of the Supreme Court, the CBI still continued to be a caged parrot. So the fact is, there are some institutions, they cast a lot of aspersions on ED. Yes, the conviction might not be high, but in the last 7 years, the ED has attached assets worth 1 lakh crore. Now that's a huge amount of public money going into the exchequers. It was a mere 4,000 crores back during the UPA days. So that has taken a leapfrog. So many of the institutions, yes, are doing a good job. I think judicial reforms should be welcome. Kiran Rijiju made a very valid point. We need an NJAC in place. I think it's high time we replace the collegium. If the judiciary can preach about transparency in other institutions, it's time the judiciary also look within. 71,000 cases pending in the Supreme Courts. The milords get an extended holiday. It's high time we had some sort of transparency in the Supreme Court. Yes. And as citizens, let's look to strengthen all institutions across the board. It's not a partisan issue.
You're treading on thin ice there. Let me bring in Aisha Shehzad. Okay, Shehzad, I'm getting in at this stage. BJP, Congress, Trinamool Congress. 1 minute.
Supposed to give me time.
Yes, I'm going to give you time.
On the election.
One minute. BJP, Congress, Trinamool Congress, and I promise to give you, in all fairness, 1 minute each. Okay? BJP, Congress, Trinamool Congress, 1 minute each. 1 minute. I'm counting it. I'm counting. I'm going to start with Shehzad. Shehzad's been wanting to come in. Shehzad.
Okay.
No, those who are talking about good Pratap Sarnaik and bad Pratap Sarnaik, when Mukul Roy was in BJP, he was bad Mukul Roy. And then that time the TMC made accusations that he is involved in this scam and that scam. Then moment he went into TMC again, he has become good Mukul Roy. So now I want this person from TMC to say, no, he's bad Mukul Roy and I want immediate action. We are kicking him out of the party. First, he must give us that commitment. Otherwise, he must tell us what washing machine Mamata Banerjee has fixed, where even now the charges of Partho Chatterjee and Arpita are being recycled and are being presented to us. See, the long and short is that when action is taken on Manish Sisodia, Congress says ED is very independent, good action taken. When action is taken on Sonia Gandhi, Aam Aadmi Party says ED is very independent, good action taken. But now when action is taken on myself, I suddenly start complaining. This is convenience, agenda of corruption and agenda of convenience. And you know, before this, 2014, the pole plank on which these people used to unite was so-called secularism. Today they have all come in unification that today we must all protect ourselves from these
it's not just one case of Pratap Sarnaik which is there. It's not just one case of Pratap Sarnaik. You remember when there was this surprise swearing in ceremony that took place in Maharashtra in 2019 when Devendra Fadnavis went with Ajit Pawar to the governor's house and took oath. Next day, the very next day, the cases against Ajit Pawar, who was accused of irrigation scam, those cases by the ACB were taken back.
And you know, my final point that I wanted to make is and Manasvi has been watching. Manasvi, see, the funny part of it, Sanika, just got some breaking news now that the Congress party is very happy with the raids in Karnataka on a BJP MLA's son. And the Congress party has asked the good EC to hold immediate elections in Karnataka. Congress party has called the agency good agency and has asked for immediate elections from the good EC in Karnataka. And this has just happened. This has just happened. They want immediate elections and they're calling the Mr. Amin from the Election Commission. He's served in the Election Commission. Okay.
This is
yeah. I'll give you 10 seconds, sir, and I want to bring in Manasvi after that.
This is not something to be laughed at. This is not something to be laughed at. This is something which is depicting the present position. What is happening in the country?
It is, sir. Mr. Kingra, but Mr. Kingra, the reason why I phrased it like that is because your party has raised questions on the Election Commission, sir.
What the numbers are to do?
Sir, just before, sir, in your previous argument, you questioned both the Election Commission and the agency, sir. Let me remind you.
Otherwise, everybody did it.
Sir, but you just questioned the EC and the agencies. And your party in Karnataka, while you're speaking on the debate, wants elections immediately.
That's it.
Okay. Manasvi.
No, election immediately.
Niranjan, can I come in?
Election
Niranjan,
immediately.
if Congress is questioning this, there is no...
And court
Niranjan, can I come in? Niranjan, the first people to question the Election Commission and the EVM was BJP. GVL Nasimha Rao wrote a book, Democracy at Risk. The foreword was written by LK Advani ji. The first people to question EVM was BJP. And now when the opposition is questioning it is about the democracy of this country. If we collectively make sure that the Election Commission and the EVMs are airtight, bullet tight, what is wrong in that? It's about the protecting the democracy. It's not about protecting one particular party, and I think collectively all the political parties should come hand in hand and discuss how should we make sure that the
position of the button in 2024 are known today.
If opposition right now doing this was done by 10 years back by the BJP.
What is wrong in that? What will be the position of the buttons is known today.
Let's
create the position of the buttons.
We're running out of time right now, Manasvi.
Let's create a situation wherein the voters' trust is there. Let's create a situation wherein
people. To all your questions on the Election Commission, Election Commission, Sanika, I think Mr. Amin wants to come in. Yeah, you can take it to Mr. Amin.
And in fact, Mr. Amin, yours could be the closing remark. Please come in. Please make a point.
Just need 20 seconds. Sanika, I need 20 seconds on one short point. If I can make a short point, 20 seconds, then you can give the closing remarks to anybody else. I don't have a problem. Just 20 seconds I need.
Okay. Go ahead, Mr. Swapna.
A very short point. Niranjan, you are saying, and I completely agree with you, and I hope that the current process which has been given by the Supreme Court yesterday on the election, on the Chief Election Commissioner, you have the Prime Minister, the Leader of the Opposition and the CJI. I hope that reduces the number of barbs at the Chief Election Commission. I hope, because what's going to happen tomorrow is that if the CEC is selected the way as it has been pronounced by the Supreme Court, tomorrow there could be an allegation that the CJI and the PM are hand in hand, because that has also gone earlier also.
Yes.
Those barbs have been made earlier. So my short point is
running out of time. Can we
as a fundamental right.
I want to give Mr. Amin I don't want to start another debate right now.
As a fundamental right.
Yeah, got it. Mr. Amin. Mr. Amin, closing comments, sir.
By the Supreme Court in the future.
Yeah, got it, Swapnil. Swapnil, got it. Last point to Mr. Amin.
I am going to tell you, regarding, there was a lot of objection about the appointment of the Mr. Arun Goel, Commissioner.
Yes.
So there was no against verdict for the Commissioner side. They have not given anything. They have seen the file also from the Law Ministry. They have submitted the file to the Supreme Court. I am going to tell you what is that Election Commission has no right to take action against anyone after starting the election and closing the election. After that, they don't have any action against anyone. Only just model code of conduct. That is the teeth. Without, they can, just like elephant teeth. We cannot eat, we cannot take the action. So I am going to tell them, this is the situation of the Election Commission. I am going to tell you, they were telling about the EVM randomization.
Okay.
I am going to tell you randomization.
Yes.
And about the voter list. voter list is always printed and always informed to all party members.
But the same is banned
all right.
from campaigning in 2021.
The fact is, I think at all points of time, both sides have faced questions and have asked questions. They have faced questions and also asked questions. Well, that's what makes it a debate. I'd like to, at this point, thank Shehzad, Kovai, Swapnil, Mr. Amin, Hardeep Singh Kigna, Manojit, Mrinalini, Manaswi and Karan. Thank you for joining us on the Weekend Debate today. Thank you very much.
Amity faculty have filed over 1,700 patents. Yet another reason why Amity has been conferred with the National Intellectual Property Award by Government of India for being the top Indian academic institution for patents and commercialization.
अभी राजस्थान में मसला हुआ था भिवानी वाले में, उसमें वो जो मोनू मानेसर उसके साथी श्रीकांत पंडित है, उनकी धर्मपत्नी की पिटाई हुई, क्या क्या हुआ, बहुत सारी चीजें हुई। मामले में हरियाणा पुलिस की FIR के अलावा मतलब ये वो सारी चीजें हैं।
देखिए, एक इंडिविजुअल घटना को लेकर के परसेप्शन नहीं,
पर ये इतनी बड़ी बन जाती है सिचुएशन,
घटना बड़ी है। मैं उसको इसकी घटना की निंदा करता हूँ मैं, लेकिन उसको ये कहें कि कोई लॉ एंड ऑर्डर खराब हो गया है, ऐसी स्थिति नहीं है।
पर ऐसा परसेप्शन बना दिया जाता है।
मैं कहता हूँ गलत बनाते हैं ना। आखिर तो हमने किसी दोषी को छोड़ा नहीं है।
फोर्थ जनरेशन आपने बोला
जी,
फोर्थ जनरेशन वो जो सन्स,
वही तो मैं कह रहा था।
आपके ग्रैंडफादर, आपके फादर, आप
जो मैं मिस कर गया 20 दिन, वो विजयंत ने पूरा कर दिया कारगिल की लड़ाई।
सर, कैप्टन विजयंत की क्या कहानी है, हमारे दर्शक ये जानना चाहेंगे। व्हाट इज हिज स्टोरी? लाइक ही वाज विद टू राजरीव सर?
ही वाज विद टू राजरीव, 2 राजपूताना राइफल्स में थे। उनकी कहानी मैंने इस किताब में लिख दी है, विजयंत एट कारगिल।
मैं आपका पर्सनल व्यू जानना चाहता हूं। रेप के चार्ज में एक्यूज अंदर जेल, CBI, बाबा राम रहीम, मनोहर लाल खट्टर का पर्सनल व्यू क्या? क्लैरिटी आनी चाहिए खट्टर साहब।
मैं बिल्कुल क्लियर हूं, जब तक मैं मुख्यमंत्री हूं तब तक मेरा कोई पर्सनल व्यू नहीं है।
करप्शन पे तो आप क्लियर थे।
करप्शन पर भी मुख्यमंत्री का ही जो विचार है वो ये है मेरा। जिस दिन मुझे अगर चेंज करने का कोई अवसर आएगा तो मुख्यमंत्री नहीं होगा तो चेंज करने की बात आएगी, करूंगा। नहीं करने की बात हो सकता है वो भी वही हो।
Another dreaded terror commander, Syed Noor Salabor, has been killed by unknown gunmen in the Khyber Pakhtunkhwa province of the Pakistan. The incident was reported yesterday when he was shot dead in the broad daylight. This is the third such incident wherein a top terror commander based in Pakistan and running the factory of terrorism in Jammu and Kashmir has been shot dead by the unknown gunman. Earlier it was Khalid Raza and Imtiaz Alam, both from Al-Badr and Hizbul Mujahideen respectively, those who were operating from Pakistan on the behest of Pakistani agency ISI to destabilize Jammu and Kashmir, were shot dead by unknown gunmen from point blank range. And this is the third such incident where Syed Noor has been killed by the unknown gunmen in the Khyber Pakhtunkhwa. After the incident, sources are indicating that the security of top terror commanders have been increased by the ISI and the cadres. With Sarjeevan Kumar, Gursimran Singh for Republic Media Network.
सर, पहली लड़ाई कौन सी देखी आपने?
मैं 1962 में कमीशन हो गया।
Are you commissioned after the war, sir?
यस, लेकिन 65 में था। मेरा 65 का रोल तो बहुत जबरदस्त था। चीन के साथ मुठभेड़ हुआ था। एज ए मिलिट्री हिस्टोरियन समहाउ जो हमारा एक्शन है 1965 का, नाथुला, जेलपला, सेबुला, वो हिस्ट्री में अपीयर ही नहीं। 4 पैरा थी हमारे साथ, उनको भी डेकोरेशन मिली और हमारी कैजुअलिटीज भी हुई हैं, लेकिन वो कैसे स्किप कर दिया, क्यों स्किप कर दिया, द नेशन डजंट नो।
सर, पहली लड़ाई कौन सी देखी आपने?
मैं 1962 में कमीशन हो गया।
Are you commissioned after the war, sir?
यस, लेकिन 65 में था। मेरा 65 का रोल तो बहुत जबरदस्त था। चीन के साथ मुठभेड़ हुआ था। एज ए मिलिट्री हिस्टोरियन समहाउ जो हमारा एक्शन है 1965 का, नाथुला, जेलपला, सेबुला, वो हिस्ट्री में अपीयर ही नहीं। 4 पैरा थी हमारे साथ, उनको भी डेकोरेशन मिली और हमारी कैजुअलिटीज भी हुई हैं, लेकिन वो कैसे स्किप कर दिया, क्यों स्किप कर दिया, द नेशन डजंट नो।
That India has changed when a gangster called Atiq Ahmed runs for cover. There is one particular phrase
that Yogi Adityanath used today that has gone totally viral. Bhaglo ya bhaglo. Bhaglo, B-H-A-G, bhaglo, meaning participate in the process of development. Or bhaglo, which means run away. This is a no-nonsense approach. The law-abiding citizens of this country, fed up of the mafia, the corruption, the terrorism, the threat, and the pseudo-secular Soros approach, they have come to love the Yogi approach. Why do people who say that India must dismantle Hindutva, why do these people have a problem when you say dismantle the mafia Yogi style? They say he dismantle Hindutva, I say dismantle the mafia. They say dismantle Hindutva, I say dismantle their secular gangsters. They say dismantle Hindutva, I say dismantle the weak negativity and corruption that people like Atiq Ahmed and gangster politicians have come to represent. Doesn't Atiq Ahmed, Mukhtar Ansari and a whole lot of this gangster scum, the fact that Yogi gets them groveling